Okay, let's talk about the biggest mystery of all, you. I mean, seriously, how did you become you? From the very beginning to this exact moment, it's been this wild, incredible journey. And today, we're going to unpack the science behind your story.
All right, let's get right into it. You ever flip through old photos and just cringe? You see your teenage self and you're like, who is that person and what was I thinking with that haircut? Or, maybe you look at your brother or sister, somebody you grew up with in the exact same house and wonder, how are we so completely different? Well, guess what? Those aren't just random shower thoughts. They're actually the core questions we're tackling today.
So there's a whole field of science dedicated to this stuff, and it's called developmental psychology. All that really means is it's the scientific study of how and why we change over our entire lives. It's the science that decodes your personal story from chapter 1 right up until, well, right now. And just like any good detective story, we've got to start with the fundamental clues. In our case, these clues are a couple of huge ongoing debates that really set the stage for everything else. First up is the big one, the classic, nature versus nurture. So were you born this way or did you become this way? Is it all about your genetic blueprint or the building site of your life? The truth is, it's not one or the other. It's a constant, complex dance between the two. Think about it. Your experiences can actually influence which parts of your genetic blueprint get used. So it's not just the plan you have, but how the construction crew of your life decides to follow it. Okay, so the second huge debate is all about how we change. Think about your own life. Was it like a smooth, steady ramp where you just gradually got a little bit smarter and more skilled over time? Or was it more like a winding staircase with these distinct stages and sudden leaps forward? Like a caterpillar suddenly becoming a butterfly. Totally different, right? Which one feels more like your story? All right, so keeping those two big ideas in mind, nature versus nurture, and that ramp versus staircase idea, let's check out a few of the architects who've tried to map out this whole human development thing. So, on one hand, you've got Jean Piaget. He was all about how our thinking changes. He believed kids are like little scientists, always experimenting and trying to make sense of the world. Then, on the other hand, you have Erik Erikson. He was more focused on our social world. His big idea was that our personality develops by tackling these specific social challenges, or crises, at different points in our lives.
And what's so cool about Erikson's theory is that it covers our entire life. He said we're never really done developing. It starts right from the beginning. As a baby, you're figuring out if the world is a safe place. Then you hit your teen years, and bam, it's all about who am I? Then, as a young adult, you're trying to figure out love and connection, all the way to late adulthood, where you look back on it all. It's a journey that keeps going.
Okay, so Erikson gives us this amazing map of our whole life, right? And it all starts with that very first stage, learning to trust. So let's zoom in on that. Let's do a little case study on that first chapter of our lives, because the way we learned to connect with people back then, well, it sets the stage for pretty much all our future relationships. We're going to talk about your attachment style.
I mean, really think about this for a second. Why do the same kinds of patterns and feelings from your childhood relationships pop up again in your adult friendships or with your partner? It's kind of weird, right? Well, that exact question is the whole point behind what's known as attachment theory.
Okay, so here's the key idea. The theory says that our very first relationships, usually with our parents, create something called an internal working model. That's just a fancy way of saying we create a kind of subconscious rulebook for relationships. It's a blueprint that tells us what to expect from other people, and it guides how we handle things like trust and closeness for, the rest of our lives.
So, if you grew up with caregivers who were pretty consistently there for you, warm and responsive, you probably developed a secure attachment style. This just means you're generally comfortable with intimacy. You find it pretty easy to trust people, and you believe you're worthy of love and that others will have your back. It feels natural.
Now, for some people, caregiving was more inconsistent. Sometimes it was great, other times not so much. This can lead to what's called an anxious style. If this is you, you might really crave closeness, but at the same time, you're often worried your partner doesn't really love you or might leave, so you find yourself needing a lot of reassurance to feel safe.
And then there's the avoidant style. This can happen if, as a kid, your needs for connection were often dismissed. You basically learned that it's just safer to not rely on anyone and to handle things on your own. So as an adult, you might really value your independence and you can feel kind of smothered when people get too close. It's like you've built a wall to protect yourself.
Okay, so we've looked at the big debates, some major theories, and even this deep dive into attachment. So what does it all mean? What's the final verdict on the mystery of you?
Well, here's the most important takeaway. All that stuff, your genes, your upbringing, your attachment style, it absolutely writes the first few chapters of your story. But the book isn't finished. Not even close. Your story is still being written every single day. And the best part is, you're not just the main character in this story. You're also the co-author.
So let's leave you with this. Understanding where you came from, understanding those early chapters, isn't about being trapped by your past. It's the opposite. It's about being empowered by that knowledge. It gives you the pen. It lets you see your patterns so you can consciously decide what the next chapter looks like. So the real question is, what chapter are you writing next?